Good morning. How we doing today? My name is James Sweeney, aka Split Suit. Welcome back to another video. And today I want to talk to you about blockers and specifically look at blockers from a preflop point of view. So if you've never heard of the term blocker, blockers and combos go hand in hand. And a combo is simply how many different ways a possible starting hand can be made. So for a pocket pair, like say pocket fives, there are 6 combinations of that hand. For an unsuited hand, like say ace king, there are 16, 12 of them being unsuited, 4 of them being suited. Now a blocker says, okay, given any visible cards that we have, now how many different combinations of that hand can my opponent have in the situation? So if you think about it, there's only one ace of spades in the deck, there is only one king of clubs in the deck, and so on and so on. So if you have one of those cards, right, if you're holding, say, ace king, then inherently it's more difficult for your opponent to have those combinations. Not always impossible, but oftentimes more difficult. And as such, if we can block really strong combinations from our opponent's range, it can make it very, very lucrative for us to start finding some extra 3-bets or 4-bets or 5-bets or preflop all-ins or a variety of other things as well. So let's go through a couple of exercises from my preflop and math workbook, and we'll kind of talk about how these things factor in, comparing both combos from raw combos without blockers to what do combos look like after taking blockers into consideration. So let's start by flipping over to the next page in the workbook. We'll zoom in a little bit so we can see this more clearly. And let's go through this first one together. So this is assuming that we hold ace of spades, king of diamonds, and we want to figure out the number of combinations for each of these starting hands. So aces, ace king, queen jack suited, 8-7 suited, and pocket fours. So the easiest way to explain blockers is to give you a very, very simple memorization technique. So there are essentially 2 different kinds of starting hands, right? There are paired starting hands like pocket aces, and there are unpaired starting hands like ace king in this situation. So when you're talking about pocket pairs, the simple rule that I use is 6-3-1-0. Okay, say that with me one time, 6-3-1-0. Which means if you have no blockers, if there are no visible cards that make it more difficult to have that pocket pair, there are 6 possible combinations of that pocket pair. If you see 1 of those, there are 3. If you see 2 of them, there are now only 1. If you see 3 of a single card, it is impossible for your opponent to have that pocket pair, and that should make some inherent sense. So with this, how many combinations of pocket aces can our opponent have? Well, there are 6 total combinations in general, but we have the ace of spades, so using the 6-3-1-0 rule, we see 1 of those cards, and as such there are only 3 combinations left. 3. Now, when it comes to unpaired starting hands, which is the more common, you can multiply unseen cards by unseen cards, meaning how many unseen aces are there in the deck, how many unseen kings are there in the deck. In general, there are 4 unseen aces, there are 4 total kings, multiply 4 by 4, you have 16. Okay, we already talked about that one. But when it comes to ace king, when we have ace king, now there are 3 remaining aces in the deck, right? The ace of clubs, ace of hearts, ace of diamonds. There are 3 remaining kings left in the deck, so 3 times 3 equals 9. And that's what we have here. Now the next one is queen jack suited. Well, we have the ace and the king. We don't block anything from queen jack suited, and as such there are still 4 combinations of that, right? Because we're specifically looking at the suited variant, there's queen jack of hearts, queen jack of spades, queen jack of clubs, queen jack of diamonds. 8-7 suited, same exact concept, right? Our ace and our king don't block any of those combinations out, and as such there are still 4 combinations. Pocket fours, again, we have a pocket pair, 6-3-1-0 rule. In this situation, there are no blockers, so they have all 6 of those combos. And just for the record, we can pull out Flopzilla and proof this, right? So plug in aces, how many combinations right down here, says 3, perfect. How many of ace king? We have 9, perfect, we did that right. Queen jack suited, 4, excellent, got that one correct. 8-7 suited, 4, just double check, whoops. Yep, still 4, excellent. And the final one was pocket fours, still 6 combinations. Great, so we did everything correct in this situation, all good. Alright, so that was combos versus specific hands. Now let's do something a little bit more difficult. Going to flip over to page 83, and we're going to make this full screen, and here's the situation. So you open raise from early position and init 3 bets from the cutoff. So you have ace king, and their range is jacks plus and ace king. That's what you're assigning in this particular spot. And don't worry if you disagree with the range, we're just going to use this as a talking point for the moment. So the questions down below are essentially calculate the number of combos, again factoring in our blockers, now that we assume our opponent has this entire range. It has each hand broken down in the range just so it's nice and simple and a little bit easier to organize. So let's start by thinking about this real quick. So pocket aces, we just did that exact same one, right? 6-3-1 rule, we see one of the aces, and as such there are 3 of these bad boys left. Pocket kings, same exact concept because we hold one. Pocket queens, we don't block any of those with ace king, so as such they have all 6. Pocket jacks, same concept, all 6. And then ace king, again, we just did the exact same kind of concept. So that was 3 unseen aces, 3 unseen kings. Now we're up to 9 total combinations. We add all of that up, and we are up to a grand total of 27. Perfect. Now, one thing that's really helpful here, and more of the workbook later on will guide you through this exact same stuff, is to think about what is the total number of combos before your blockers. And if you want to actually go a little bit further than just the workbook, you could say, okay, what if I had other combinations as well? And more of these exercises will guide you through, okay, what if you had other kind of hand types? How is that blocking out parts of range? For the moment, this is one of the more simple examples because it's a very, very tight range with ace king. But still, you could plug all of this in, and just for the record, if you are using the ebook, you can just copy the range strand right from there, paste it into Flopzilla. Perfect. And we had what? Ace of spades, king of clubs. Perfect. So in this situation, we see we have the right answer, right? 27 combos. Perfect, 27. Now, for giggles, let's get rid of our ace king. So we notice that there are 40 total combinations of jacks plus ace king before we factor in our blockers, and the fact that we have ace king as blockers really blocks out a tremendous amount of their range. Now, if we had something different, let's just say ace 4 suited, yes, there's still a good chunk of blocking, right? We block out 7 combinations now, which is still pretty sizable. But if we had a different hand, say like 5-4, notice that we block nothing. So we're not getting any blocker benefit, especially considering if we wanted to 4-bet in this situation, or would even think about 4-betting in this situation. Whenever we can block out the absolute strongest hands in our opponent's range, that can be very, very beneficial for us, especially if we can consider re-raising, coming over the top, or just factoring in a multi-street future play in the future. So that could be very, very profitable, and that's how you can start going from just these raw numbers and raw calculations, which are very helpful and will improve your technical skill set, to actually saying, okay, with those numbers, with those calculations, now what do I do from a strategic point of view? That's how you can start wrapping all of this together. Alright, so we've looked at 2 examples where we have ace king as blockers. Now let's look at one where we have a different starting hand, and this one's going to be a little bit more complex from just a little bit later in the workbook. Let's get in here. Scroll down. Perfect. So player opens from the low jack. You are next to act. You have pocket tens, and this is their range of hands, or the range that you're assigning. Again, don't worry if you disagree with this range. We're just using it as a starting point. So down below, we have a little bit of a different chart. So this time we're looking at things in terms of buckets. So essentially how many pocket pairs they have in their range, unpaired Broadway hands that are kind of double Broadway combos. How many hands could flop a straight flush? So these are going to be hands like ace 5 suited and 8-7 suited, things like that. And then other would be all of the other combinations. So let's zoom out just ever so slightly so it's a little bit easier to see. Perfect. And let's start hacking away from here. So we can do 2 different things. We can do this the long hand way, and if you're going through the workbook, especially for your first time, if you're newer to these concepts, you really haven't done these calculations, maybe ever, or maybe just in a while, it would be helpful to stop and do this by hand. But for the moment, and to make this a little bit of a quicker video that makes a little bit more coherent sense, I'm just going to throw this into Flopzilla. So scratch that, paste that right in. Perfect. So that's the range of hands. And we notice that there are are 184 combinations total. Now, if you wanted to be really cool, you could go in here and add groups for each of those buckets that we just discussed. And yeah, for giggles, let's just do that. So let's just do pocket pairs in blue. Let's do the double broadways in green. Let's do the straight flush combinations in orange. All of these can catch straight flushes. Cool. And that's it. Excellent. So easy peasy, and we'll go through and look at the range from here and just start calculating things. So of the blue combinations, we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of those, multiply it by 6 total starting combinations for each of them, and we're up to what? 60. So those are combinations before blockers. Once we take in our pocket 10s, let's think about what hands those block out. Well, that blocks out their possibility of holding pocket 10s, and we see 2 of them. So using the 6-3-1-0 rule, we see 2, which means there's only a single combination of pocket 10s they can have, and it doesn't block out anything else, right? It doesn't block out pocket kings, doesn't block out pocket 8s. So this is going to get reduced by what? 5? 55. And let's just, for a moment, proof that out. So 5s plus, add in our pocket 10s. I didn't see exactly which ones, but it doesn't really matter. Clubs, diamonds. Cool. And we see 55 combos. So perfect, we did that one correctly. Excellent. And now let's continue doing the rest of these buckets. So starting with the double Broadway combinations, let's go into there. And what do we got? I forget where the bottom was. Ace, jack off, king, queen. All of these, all these, all that. Perfect. So after we have our 10s, we notice that there are 80 combinations in there. So combos after blockers are 80. If we go back in here and clear that out, we notice that there are 88 combinations total. So our 10s definitely are blocking some bit of this range, right? It's blocking things like ace 10 suited and jack 10 suited and stuff like that, but it's not really blocking, you know, a massive, massive amount by any stretch of the imagination. The straight and flush drawing hands, so that's going to be all the other hands that we discussed. What's it go down to? 7-6. Boop, 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 boop. Nope, not jack 10 suited. Those, any other combinations? Jack 10, perfect. Good, and this won't include things like jack 10 suited because that was already accounted for over in the double Broadway combos. So in this situation, there are 36 total combinations of that. And if we look at it real quick, you know, our 10s is going to impact this a little bit. And just for the record, the way that that's going to work is thinking about, say, jack 10 suited. I'm sorry, jack 9 suited. Nope. 10-9 suited. So 10-9 suited in this situation means that they could have 2 combinations of that left. Because we have the 10 of clubs, it's impossible for them to have 10-9 of clubs. They can't have 10-9 of diamonds for the exact same reason, but they can have 10-9 of spades and also 10-9 of hearts. And really, that's the only combination that we're blocking out, right? Exactly 10-9. Yeah, it's perfect. So when we factor in our hand, right, we get a little reduction. -2 brings us down to 34 combinations. Excellent. And other combinations, there's no other combinations in this one. So 0 and 0. Perfect. Excellent. And if we go ahead and add everything up, the combinations before blockers is 184, after blockers 169. We can check the answer key to double proof that. So page 87, which is the one we're on. And again, if you buy the paperback version, you get this as well. So that way you can just copy these range strands right out of here, go over to Flopzilla, paste them in, and good to go. That way you can save yourself tons of time. But going back here and checking the answer key, 184, 169, 184, 169, perfect. So we did everything correct in this situation. And again, if you wanted to go one step further than the workbook, one of the things you could do is take your time in Flopzilla, and we see what happens when we have 10s here, but what would happen if we have a different starting hand? So again, what if we had, like, I don't know, ace 4 suited instead? Notice this drops to 164 instead of just 169. If we had something like ace king, now all of a sudden we get a further reduction down to 152. If we have something like pocket aces, right, pretty big reduction, 145. If we have something like 7-6 suited, you know, not going to block a ton, doesn't block all that much, now it's only 176 combinations. So this can really start helping you look at ranges and saying, okay, which hands are going to offer the best blocker value, and those could make your best 3 bets, your best 4 bets, and stuff like that. So it's very, very helpful to look at things like this. And not that blockers are the only consideration, right? It's not like you want to 3-bet every single time you have an ace blocker or a king blocker, but they can be very helpful. It can help you start looking at ranges like someone's 3-betting range and saying, okay, what would an ace blocker do here or a king blocker do here? What are the other factors? Like, could I call more profitably? That sort of stuff. So it's not just anytime you have a blocker, you automatically aggress, rather thinking about the context of everything. And this can really be a refining metric for these kind of things and saying, okay, this is a spot where if I have a blocker, I'll take it. If I don't have a blocker, I won't. And now you'll be able to understand, okay, how can I quickly count that or at least estimate it? Again, being plus or minus 10% in a situation like this, being able to estimate the combos of a range both before and after blockers can be massively helpful, especially when you're at the table. You don't have the time to pull out Flopzilla, you don't have the time to pull out a calculator. You can really kind of use this to be able to estimate what is a good spot, what makes this a best spot, and what would make this a not so good spot as well. And just for the record, there are lots of other kinds of exercises in this workbook that will help you look at different kinds of ranges and see how different kinds of blockers will impact those ranges. Again, blockers can be a refining element when it comes to considering preflop 3-bets or squeezes or 4-bets or all-ins, and by exploring spots with blockers in mind, you can find situations where adding extra aggression with blockers is beneficial, even if only slightly. But as edges get thinner, being able to sniff out and take those plus EV edges can really set you apart from other regs. To continue working on this skill set, you can pick up my copy of the Math and Preflop workbook at splitsuit.com/preflop, and you can finally make the poker math stick so deeply in your brain that you can automatically make these calculations at the table. A few pages of exercises per day will continue to sharpen your poker brain and your overall edge. And that is going to wrap it up for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed, hopefully you learned a bit, and hopefully this helps you visualize blocker situations more clearly in your next session. Same as always, if you have any comments or questions about this video, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below, a like if you enjoyed this video, and a sub if you want to see more videos like this in the future. If you need anything at all, you can always contact me directly at splitsuit@gmail.com, and I look forward to seeing you in the future with a brand new video. In the meantime, good luck out there and happy grinding.